Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a hotly debated topic. Did Warhammer kill the Total War franchise? Stick around as we explore the impact of the Total War Warhammer series on the iconic strategy game franchise we all know and love. Total War is a series that has been around for over 2 decades, starting with the critically acclaimed Shogun, Total War in 2000. The series has taken us through various historical periods, from medieval Europe to feudal Japan and beyond. Games like Rome, Medieval Teseku, and Shogun 2 have been lauded for their deep strategic gameplay and historical authenticity. Players loved commanding armies, managing empires, and rewriting history. But in 2016, Creative Assembly took a bold new direction with Total War, Warhammer. This was the first game in the series to abandon historical settings for a fantasy world, featuring magic, dragons, and legendary heroes. The Warhammer series brought in a whole new audience and revitalized interest in the franchise. With stunning graphics, rich lore, and innovative gameplay mechanics, it quickly became a fan favorite. However, not all reactions were positive. Some longtime fans of the Total War series felt alienated by the shift to a fantasy setting. Critics argued that the introduction of magic and fantastical units simplified some of the game's traditional mechanics. The reliance on powerful heroes and mythical creatures, while visually impressive, sometimes overshadowed the nuanced tactics that had defined earlier entries in the series. Battles could be dominated by the abilities of a few key units, reducing the importance of overall army composition and strategy. Additionally, the complexity of managing a faction was altered. In historical Total War games, players had to consider factors such as diplomacy, trade, and the political landscape of a given era. While Total War Warhammer retained some of these elements, they were often streamlined to fit the more narrative-driven and fantastical setting. Some players missed the intricate, historically grounded management systems and the detailed attention to period accuracy. But here's where things get a bit tricky. Many longtime fans argue that the historical titles released after Warhammer have taken a hit in terms of strategic depth and complexity, especially in battles. Take a look at these side-by-side comparisons. In older titles like Rome 2, battles were intricate affairs, requiring careful maneuvering and tactical planning. Units had distinct roles, and formations were crucial. In Rome's Sega, battles demanded a high level of strategy. Infantry, archers, cavalry. Each unit type had a specific purpose and effective counter-strategies. Terrain played a critical role. Placing your archers on high ground or hiding units in forests could turn the tide of battle. Formations like shield walls and phalanxes were essential for defense, and breaking enemy lines required precise flanking maneuvers. In contrast, battles in newer titles like Total War Pharaoh often feel less tactical. Units tend to engage in more chaotic melees, and while there are still strategic elements, the emphasis on flashy, fast-paced combat has overshadowed the intricate planning required in earlier games. It's not just the battles either. The campaign mechanics in recent titles have been streamlined, sometimes oversimplified, compared to the intricate empire management seen in classics like Medieval 2. Let's dive into the details. In classic titles like Medieval 2, the campaign map was a strategic playground where every decision mattered. Managing your empire involved a complex web of diplomacy, trade, city development, and military logistics. You had to balance the needs of your people, manage your resources meticulously, and navigate intricate political landscapes. Diplomacy in Medieval 2 was nuanced and critical to success. Players had to engage with other factions through alliances, marriages, treaties, and covert actions. The relationships were dynamic, influenced by religion, territorial ambitions, and historical rivalries. A well-timed alliance or a strategic marriage could provide military support in crucial battles or open new trade opportunities. Conversely, failing to maintain good relations or breaking treaties could lead to wars on multiple fronts. In contrast, recent titles like Total War Pharaoh have simplified many of these aspects. City management has become more straightforward, with fewer building options and less impactful decisions. Diplomacy, while still present, often feels less nuanced and more straightforward. City management in Total War Pharaoh, for example, is significantly streamlined. The variety of buildings and the strategic depth they provided in older titles have been reduced. Instead of managing a complex array of structures with specific functions and strategic importance, players now face a simplified selection of buildings, each offering more generalized benefits. This reduction in building options can lead to less critical thinking about city specialization and long-term planning. Decisions about city development are less impactful, reducing the need for careful resource allocation and planning that were vital in Medieval II. Diplomacy, while still a feature, often lacks the intricate layers that made it a core strategic element in earlier games. In Total War Pharaoh, diplomatic interactions are generally more predictable and less varied. The detailed negotiations, relationship building, and espionage activities are often replaced by more straightforward options like simple alliances or wars. The depth of personality and unique agendas of different factions seen in Medieval II are less pronounced, leading to a more homogenized diplomatic experience. This can make the political landscape feel static and less dynamic, with fewer opportunities for creative or unexpected diplomatic maneuvers. Trade and economic management have also seen simplification. Where players once meticulously managed trade routes, monitored the flow of goods, and strategically placed merchants to maximize income, recent titles often automate these processes or reduce their significance. The need for developing infrastructure to support trade and protecting these routes from threats has diminished, leading to a less engaging economic system. The strategic element of managing an empire's wealth through careful planning and protection of economic interests is less prominent. Battles in Medieval II, Total War, feel like they have more weight and significance in relation to your campaign, whereas in Warhammer and newer historical titles, battles often feel like slugfests, with hero units dominating the battlefield. In Medieval II, each battle is a critical component of your broader strategic plan. The outcomes of these battles have profound consequences on your campaign, influencing the balance of power, territorial control, and the overall fate of your empire. Losing a battle can mean the loss of a key city or region, the weakening of your military might, and a potential shift in diplomatic relations as allies and enemies react to your changing fortunes. The need to carefully consider troop composition, battlefield tactics, and terrain makes each engagement a deeply strategic endeavor. In contrast, battles in Warhammer and some newer historical titles often emphasize spectacle and action. Hero units, with their powerful abilities and outsized impact, tend to dominate the battlefield. These characters can single-handedly turn the tide of battle, making the engagements feel more like dramatic, fast-paced slugfests rather than carefully orchestrated military maneuvers. While this approach provides thrilling and visually impressive encounters, it can reduce the sense of strategic weight and the long-term implications that characterized battles in Medieval II. The reliance on hero units in Warhammer, for instance, shifts the focus from the broader army tactics to the individual exploits of these powerful figures. This can lead to a more arcade-like experience, where the primary strategy revolves around leveraging the strengths of a few key units rather than managing a cohesive and balanced army. The result is a different kind of engagement, one that prioritizes immediate action and excitement over the methodical and consequential battles of earlier titles. Furthermore, the streamlined mechanics in newer titles often mean that losing a battle is less devastating to your overall campaign. In Medieval II, the loss of a significant battle could set back your campaign progress considerably, forcing you to regroup, rebuild, and rethink your strategy. In newer games, the penalties for losing are often less severe, allowing for quicker recovery and less emphasis on the long-term impact of each battle. This can diminish the sense of tension and importance that makes each battle in Medieval II a pivotal moment in your campaign. Influence of Total War. Warhammer on the series is undeniable. The Warhammer titles introduced a fantasy setting with unique factions, magical abilities, and a distinct gameplay style that revitalized the franchise and attracted a new audience. However, this shift also led to more streamlined mechanics in subsequent historical titles. The success of Warhammer demonstrated the potential for innovation within the series, but it also set a precedent for simplifying certain aspects to appeal to a broader audience. The question remains, Did Warhammer change Total War for better or worse? Opinions are divided. Some fans appreciate the accessibility and the fresh approach Warhammer brought to the series, while others miss the complexity and depth of the older historical titles. The historical games that followed Warhammer, like Three Kingdoms and Pharaoh, indicate that Creative Assembly is still exploring how to balance accessibility with depth. What do you think? Did Warhammer change Total War for better or worse? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more gaming content. Thanks for watching.